Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to our science section sharing for the day. Okay, I'm your teacher Angeline. Okay, a little bit of introduction. I'm from SMK Donghua Sibu, and then I'm very honored to be chosen to be involved in this science sharing section. Okay, at the moment I will be your science teacher for this 45 minutes. Hi. Okay, so in fact, this is a program of PPT Sibu, the so-called towards excellence in SPM. So the meaning to say the objective of this program is hoping to help all our students, our art stream students, to be able to score well. At first, before you can score well, of course, definitely you need to master the format. Master the format of this question paper. So my section for today, I'll be sharing on this science paper 2 question 11. So for the moment, welcome. Welcome to our virtual classroom, my dear students. So in our classroom here, we respect each other, so we do our best, and then we support one another as we learn together, How come my slide couldn't move? What happened? So first of all, before that, very importantly, we must know the format. What's the format for this science KSSM? 15, the code number still remain the same, is 1151 1511, 1511, the code number. So KBSM, as you all know, KSSM format is a little bit, or it's changed a little bit, but what is good, what's great is that it still remain 2 papers. You have paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1, as previous other science teacher already shared with you, paper 1 will have 40 objective questions. Then you will be given 1 hour and 15 minutes to answer this 40 questions in paper 1. Then for paper 2 itself, we have section A, B, C. Then paper 2 consists of how many marks? It will consist of 80 marks. 80 marks. So for my part, I will cover this section C. Section C, which in fact consists of 22 marks, meaning to say it's quite important lah. Every section is important as long as you wish to score A+. So let me move. I need to shift this dialog box a little bit. So section C, the command of the question will sound like this. It's like answer question 11 and either question 12 or question 13. So jawab soalan 11 dan sama ada soalan 12 atau soalan 13. Meaning to say question 11 is a compulsory question. By hook or by hook, you must answer it. And then question 12 or 13 is a choice for you. You can choose either one. You can choose either one to answer them. So for question 11, I have prepared an example here. So for question 11, a friendly reminder first. So if you have never read through, you never tried or read through every experiment that we learned, then it will be difficult. Frankly speaking, it will be difficult for you to score well for the procedural part. Meaning to say, whenever you are asked to conduct this PK experiment at school, in the lab, you must get involved. Don't just sit there and become, robot? Sitting there and become a supervisor, seeing your friends conducting the experiment. No. You must get involved so that you will remember. You will remember very well about the procedures, and then about this. You will remember all about the procedure and also the objectives of this experiments that you have conducted. Of course, for sure, before SPM exam or before every exam, we must go through every experiment, because as I know, for these several years of teaching science, I know that my students, a lot of them, they tell me, oh teacher, experimental question is very difficult. Oh, you know why is that so difficult? Because their problem is that they skip all the experiment question, they skip all the experiments procedure. Whenever they revise, they do revisions, they will just go through the notes, right? Regarding the theory, they read about the theories only, but then they've forgotten about the experiment. That is why whenever comes to question, whenever they reach this question 11, or last time it is question 10, they will feel very, very difficult. They thought that they need to create a new experiment, but then, my dear students, no, in fact they are all in our syllabus. Okay, for science experimental question, it is in fact quite easy to score. It's a bonus question for all of us. So I hope that after this section, all my fellow students, you won't be afraid to face or afraid to answer this question 11. Okay. So this is an example of question 11. Okay, study the following information. So kaji maklumat, very good. So of course, definitely science, for science paper, it will be bilingual. Okay, my sharing section for the day, I will be mainly using English, because my school is a DLP school. Then we have been using English to teach science. Okay, so I apologize. Okay, so first part, study the following information. Now we go through the statement here. The growth of microorganism is influenced by several factors, such as temperature, pH value, humidity, light, and nutrients. Different pH value will affect the growth of bacteria. Okay, one glance itself, okay, usually when we read one through, you will feel not really understand. You don't really understand. Never mind, we read through several times. Okay, you have given enough. Now we have more than enough time to answer paper 2. Okay, so just read a few times until you understand, you master what do they ask, what are you request to answer. Okay, so the growth of microorganism is influenced by several factors, such as temperature, pH value, humidity, light, and nutrients. Different pH value will affect the growth of bacteria. So it's quite obvious here. This question is about which experiment? It is quite obvious, right? They already told you the last, you see you have the last sentence here, different pH value. Okay, so kalau BM, pertumbuhan mikroorganisme dipengaruhi oleh beberapa faktor seperti suhu, nilai pH, kelembapan, cahaya dan nutrien. Nilai pH yang berbeza akan memberi kesan ke atas pertumbuhan bakteria. Okay, so far so good. So we shall continue on. See what are we request, okay, for this question 11. What happened to my slide? Okay, so before we answer it, it's a bit of revision now. So there are 5 factors that affect the growth of microorganism: nutrients, light, temperature, pH value, and humidity. Okay, so for pH value, pH value, as the slides here has shown us, pH value 7, pH 7, which is a neutral pH, is the optimum pH for most microorganism. Meaning to say, most of the microorganism, they will live well, they will grow well, reproduce well at pH 7. Extreme pH, for example, too acidic or too alkaline. I hope you know that too acidic means that less than 7, way less than 7, somewhere the pH value near to 1 until 3 like that. Then too alkaline means the pH value more than 10. Okay, extreme pH are not suitable for the growth of microorganism. But then some microorganism that can live slightly acidic or alkaline environment. So this is our revision part for this section. So once you already revised, okay, so let us try out. Again, this is the question that I showed you just now. So let us go through. Question 11, in fact, 10 marks, consists of 10 marks are all together for this question 11. So, first one, what is requested here? I will move my screen now a little bit. So state one problem statement from the above information. Sorry, a spelling mistake here. State one problem statement from the above information. Nyatakan satu pernyataan masalah daripada maklumat di atas. Okay, so as long as they ask about problem statement, you need to remember it is a soalan. It must be a soalan. It's not this answer will not end with full stop. It is a question. Okay, that starts with the words when lah, how lah, where lah, some these words lah. So the answer, the recommended answer for this experiment, because they're asking about pH value. So of course, what do we want to know? We wish to know how does this pH value affect the growth of microorganism. The growth of microorganism. Okay, how does pH value affect the growth of microorganism? Ataupun or what is the effect of pH value on the growth of microorganism? What is the effect? Or another suggested answer will be, how does pH value affect the growth of microorganism? Besides that, you also can okay, so these are the two recommended answers. Apakah kesan nilai pH terhadap pertumbuhan mikroorganisme? Can you see here? Problem statement always end with a question mark. Clear? It's a question itself. Okay, it's not a statement, but then it is a question. Okay, then next, after that, part B, suggest one hypothesis to investigate the above statement. Cadangkan satu hipotesis untuk menyiasat pernyataan di atas. Okay, so hypothesis. For our hypothesis, I always remember you must include, for a hypothesis, it is a statement relating your manipulated variable and your responding variable. Always remember, construct the answer of hypothesis and then make sure MV and RV is inside. Okay, MV first followed by your RV. So the suggested answer is the growth of bacteria is most rapid at pH 7. Okay, it can be accepted for this case. Okay, other than that, you also can write at neutral pH or at pH 7, the growth of bacteria is optimum. Okay, clear that? Okay, so hypothesis, the growth at pH 7, the growth of bacteria is optimum. Pertumbuhan bakteria adalah paling pesat pada nilai pH 7. So for this case, this is a correct hypothesis. Okay, you will be rewarded 1 marks for writing this. Just as easy as that. As long as you write out this statement of hypothesis, then from this answer itself, you can see your MV and then the RV. It will be correct already. Then after B, part B, we already answered part A and part B. Then here comes your parts, this following part. So based on the given statement, design a laboratory experiment to test your hypothesis by using distilled water, sodium hydroxide solution, nutrient broth, bacteria culture, and 2 test tubes. Based on the given statement, we need to design a laboratory experiment to test your hypothesis, to test our hypothesis by using the distilled water. Wow, use distilled water, use sodium hydroxide solution, a nutrient broth, bacteria culture, and 2 test tubes. Meaning to say, for this experiment, you are only required to test 2 pH value. Dua situasi saja. One is neutral condition, another one is alkaline condition. Okay, so this because you given distilled water and sodium hydroxide solution only. Okay, so we shall try. Go on to another question here. We are quite, we are very lucky lah. I would say that lucky, because every time for experimental question like this, question 11, we are guided. In fact, for science paper we are guided. You just follow the question and answer and give them the answer, then you can score. So your description should include the following criteria. Huraian Anda harus mengandungi aspek yang berikut. The aim of this experiment, tujuan experiment, 1 mark already. So what is the aim of this experiment? So of course, as I always tell my students, what is your aim? What is your aim? Apakah tujuan Anda datang ke sekolah? So, untuk belajar lah, okay? So if in English it will be to study. So that's why, that is how I ask them to remember. Okay, the aim of this experiment is to study. Study what? Study for experiment will be study the relationship, your relationship between your MV and your RV. So for this case, what is our MV? Our MV is pH value. Okay, to study the relationship between pH value and your RV is the growth of microorganism. So far so good. So let us have a glimpse, okay, at the answer. So study the effect of pH value on the growth of bacteria. Ya, untuk mengkaji kesan nilai pH terhadap pertumbuhan bacteria. Okay, so we shall continue with the next question. Okay, the second part they will be asking you to answer this identification of variables, consists of 2 marks. Okay, mengenal pasti pemboleh ubah. So as we know that we learned that how many types of pemboleh ubah, the variables that we have: manipulated variables, responding variables, and constant variables. Okay, 3. So what I recommend is that write 3, all of them. Just write all of them, or at least you need to write two types of variables. Easiest one will be writing manipulated variables and your responding variables. So because since you know already what is the responding variable and the manipulated variable through the statement from the question given itself. Okay, then the part 3 will be regarding the procedure. Okay, the procedure or the methods consists of 4 marks. Okay, the procedure ataupun kaedah. Okay, so we shall go into it. How to answer variables part. Okay, it's quite not much of difficulties lah, not high difficulties. Okay, so manipulated variables, it will be pH value. the different pH value. So for this experiment, you know that you are given isolate, you are given distilled water, you are given sodium hydroxide solution, meaning to say the pH will be pH 7 and pH 14. You can also state it clearly. For distilled water, the pH is 7. So pH 7 and pH 14. Okay. Or just easiest way will be writing pH value for manipulated variable. Then for your responding variable, for this case, it's the condition of the nutrient broth. Then for constant variable, your volume of bacteria. The volume of bacteria. Dalam BM pemboleh ubah yang dimanipulasi ialah nilai pH, pemboleh ubah yang bergerak balas, keadaan bubur nutrien, pemboleh ubah yang dimalarkan ialah isi padu larutan kultur bacteria. So some students that might ask, they will be wondering, hey teacher, if I write more than one, how will I be marked wrong? Usually this is the confusion arise from my students. Okay, so no worries. No worries. You may answer more than one. For example, like your constant variables. Okay, besides volume of bacterial culture, the type of bacteria also involved must be also constant, right? Then the temperature also need to be constant, then the time taken and the intensity of light also need to be the constant variable. They are the constant variable itself, in fact, in this experiment. So for this case, constant variable, you may write more than one if you are not sure your answer correct or not. Provided that when you write volume of bacteria culture, don't put a comma or don't put a slash. You write it, number 1, volume of bacteria culture, number 2, temperature. Write 2 is more than enough. Don't write a lot, don't write many. Okay, just choose 2 and write it there, so that in case the first one wrong, then the second one will still have a chance of getting that 1 mark. But for this part, variable part, identification of variables consists of 2 marks. Meaning to say, if you write 2 types of variables, it would be more than enough. Do I get myself clearly? Do you get it right? Okay, you understand or not? Okay, so 2 marks. And then usually the mistake that done by my students when I mark papers, I see that identification of variables they just write the answer, pH value and the condition of nutrient broth, without stating the variables. Meaning to say, they just write pH value, comma, condition of nutrient broth. Just like that, put it there. My dear students, how do I know which variable are you referring to? We don't know. The markers, they don't know. You cannot expect the markers, the teacher who marks the paper will know what are you referring to. So you must state it clearly. Okay, pH value will be the answer for manipulated variable. Then condition of nutrient broth is the answer for responding variable. Okay, so this will be the part for part 2, identification of variable. 2 marks, very easily you can score this part, these 2 marks. Then we continue to the next part, is the procedure. So for the procedure part, we draw the diagram. Okay, draw the diagram. So prepare the apparatus set up. The first statement, usually it will start like this, but then in fact it's not rewarded any marks. Somehow we still have to write this statement, this sentence. Okay, prepare the apparatus set up. Okay, sediakan susunan radar seperti yang ditunjukkan. Okay, so you never expect that, students, my fellow students, you never expect, okay, this sentence will consist of 1 mark. No, my dear. But somehow we must write this statement, because as we know, to conduct an experiment, you need the apparatus, you need the radars, everything. Okay, so the first statement for our procedure part must be prepared. You need to prepare the apparatus. Okay, we need to prepare the apparatus, set up as shown as the diagram. So draw out the diagram, it will give you 1 mark. But a functional diagram, gambar aja yang berlabel dan berfungsi. Okay, you must label every detail part of your apparatus, the things that you drawn. Okay, for this case, you have test tube A, test tube B, then you have nutrient broth and bacteria culture in both test tube. Then for test tube A, we added in with this distilled water. Test tube B here added in with sodium hydroxide solution. Okay, huh? This is the first the procedure part already. Okay, then second statement, add nutrient broth. We add nutrient broth followed by bacterial culture into both test tube. Okay, tuang bubur nutrient dan bakteria ke dalam tabung uji, ke dalam kedua-dua tabung uji. Okay, students they might wondering, teacher, are we allowed to answer in passive form or active form? Ayat, in fact ayat passive ke, ayat active ke, tak apa, tidak kira. As long as it is correct statement. Okay, so I myself, I prefer to teach my students to use active voice. Okay, active voice. As long as you can answer, you can try to convey your message clearly to the markers, it is more than enough already. Okay, and then another thing is never judge the marks. You see, a lot of students, they might think, oh teacher, this question only 4 marks, so I will just give 4 sentences will be enough. No, my dear students, not necessary like that. Sometimes there are experiments that more than 4 statements, more than 4 sentences on the procedure part. So we just need to write as much as we could, as detailed as we could for the procedure of every experiment question. Okay, right? So the third procedure is we add distilled water. You add distilled water into test tube A. Tambahkan air suling ke dalam tabung uji A. Then add sodium hydroxide solution into the other test tube. Tambah larutan natrium hydroxide. Okay, tambah larutan natrium hydroxide ke dalam tabung uji yang lain. Okay, the other tabung uji means it is test tube B lah, So leave both test tube at your test tube rack for 3 days. Okay, leave it aside for 3 days. Okay, biarkan selama 3 hari. So for this experiment, as you can see, we have 6 sentences. So after 3 days, observe and record the condition of nutrient broth. So selepas 3 hari, perhatikan dan rekod keadaan bubur nutrient. Clear? Okay, 4 mark is as easy as that for you to score. Okay, my fellow students, never give up in writing these procedure parts. I know a lot of students, they will say, oh teacher, I don't know, my English, my BM is so weak, I will just leave it blank. No, please. In fact, it is quite easy for you to score. Okay, at least lah, you draw a diagram. You draw the diagram for the experiment itself, the setup of apparatus itself, a functional diagram will already gain yourself 1 marks for that part. So never ever leave it blank for procedure and also methods, this area. Okay, then the last part, Oh, already reached the last part. 10 marks, so easy. Oh, can you see that? We are so, in fact, this experimental question 11 is so easy for us to score. This already final part of this question. Oh, we have reached the final part of this question. Tabulation of data. Penjadwalan data. Okay, for every experiment, okay, because experimental, this question 11 means that we design reka bentuk satu experiment. You design, meaning to say you haven't conduct the experiment. When we haven't conduct this experiment, you just design the procedure, you identify the hypothesis, the problem statement, everything, means we don't have the result yet. We don't have the result yet. Meaning to say, when comes to this tabulation of data, you just need to draw out the table with the MV, RV, with the manipulated variable stated clearly and the responding variable stated clearly there. Enough. It will be more than enough. So let us see how does the answer looks like. Okay, I did a little bit of correction here, okay? So for this diagram, for the table, we have test tube, then a column for pH value, another column for the condition of nutrient broth. In fact, the MV is your pH value already lah, the manipulated variable, the pH value. So test tube A represent pH 7, because for test tube A we add in distilled water. Then for test tube B, we add in sodium hydroxide solution. Therefore, its pH value is more than 7. Then as you can see here, the condition, the result of the experiment, we will just leave it blank. You do not need to write in any observation or any result into this question 11. Did I make myself clear to you? Okay, everybody, my fellow students, I hope you truly you have a better view, clearer picture of this question 11. Okay, for our question 11 consists of how many marks just now? Altogether 10 marks. 10 marks. What do they ask for? I go backward. I will go flip through my slide from the beginning. Okay, we are requested to answer question 11. Then you are given a statement like this. From the statement, you will find clue which experiment in fact you are requested to answer. So read through the question, read through the information for several times. Later on, first part of the question, state problem statement. Then problem statement is always a question itself. Okay, it is a problem statement. The first part, your first mark, 1 mark. The second 1 mark will be hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis to investigate this experiment, or hypothesis for this experiment. And another thing, your hypothesis must show a specific direction. A specific direction. What do I mean here is that you must state that, okay, for like your bacteria, our bacteria, they grow well at pH 7. Some students, they might write a different pH value. Different pH value have different effect on the growth of bacteria. So for this general statement, I repeat again, different pH value will affect the growth of microorganism. From your point of view, it looks, this is a correct statement. Tidak salah. statement ini, ayat ini tidak salah. Memang pH, nilai pH yang berbeza akan mempengaruhi pertumbuhan mikroorganisme. Tapi, but for hypothesis, you must have a specific direction. Okay, you must tell us, okay, at what pH value. At what pH value your bacteria, your microorganism will grow well. Okay, at pH 7, the microorganism will grow well. Okay, so hypothesis consists of 1 mark already. Then later on, you will be given another statement. Okay, so for this statement, they tell you, they instruct you to do to design a lab experiment. Then over here you'll be given the products and materials, the materials and apparatus. So you are given distilled water, sodium hydroxide, these all things. Then again, aim of the experiment, the 3rd mark. Okay, write out the aim to join experiment. Then 4th and 5th marks, the other 2 marks will come from identification of variables. Ya, pemboleh ubah. 2 jenis pemboleh ubah. If you wish to write more than 2, you write the 3 variables. Okay, go ahead. Make sure they are all correct. Make sure you stated clearly. Okay, or pH value is the answer for manipulated variable. Don't conduct the same mistake as my students. They will just write pH value is stated there only, without stating which variables are they referring to. No, we must state out manipulated variable ... The answer is pH value, like that. Okay, so already 5 marks here. Then the 3rd part comes from the other 4 marks will come from your procedure. Okay, you will be requested to write out the procedure. So for the procedure part, include the setup of apparatus, the diagram itself, a functional diagram. Always make sure you must label. You must label all the apparatus, the material inside. Then the last one is it will be the tabulation of data. Okay, so for tabulation of data, my students I always see that what are their problems is that they don't know what is this question asking about. I don't know why leh. If BM penjadualan data, memang it means lukislah satu jadual untuk rekodkan semua keputusan eksperimen ni. But tabulation of data, in other words, it means table. Okay, table. Draw a table. Okay, your table will have 2 columns. Then 2 columns here. First column is your manipulated variable. The second column will be the responding variable. Okay, so we have reached the end of this sharing section now. Okay, so some reminder here. Okay, I hope all of you will participated fully. Okay, you participated fully by staying focused and make each section count. Okay, after my section will be another teacher in charge of question 12 and question 13. Okay, ask question if you have any query. If you have any question, you just remember to ask. Okay, you must believe that your teacher, your science teacher, they will always aim to give you help. They will always help and bring clarity. And always from your point of view, from your aspect, you must be consistent. As a student, we must always try out model papers. Okay, last time we are also students as well even we are teachers last time we also students. How do we score? We score by trying out a lot of model papers, because by trying out, by conducting, by carry out this practice when you practice a lot, it will make you familiar with the latest format of Kertas science. Okay, always remember, practice makes progress. Then take a break whenever you are needed, so that it can minimize the fatigue. Okay, then you can go offline, recharge, and also reset. Make a section. Okay, Take some time, make time for other activities that nourish your mind and also your soul. Never forget to inspire one another. Okay, you can also form study groups with your friends so that you won't get bored, and so that sometimes when you face confusion or some difficulties, you might also ask from your friends, from your classmates, and then learn from each other. So lastly, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, according to Nelson Mandela. So grab the change, and then score. I hope all of you will score A+ for science, because from my experience of teaching this science paper, science subject, science is in fact not difficult, or it's not that difficult to score, as long as you try, you pay attention to your class, your science teacher's class, then try as much exercise as you can, then you will be able to score. Remember this statement: education is always the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world in the future. Always, right now also the same thing. Lastly, you have any question? Always get in touch. Never afraid to get in touch with your science teacher. Okay, that is my section for today. Thank you for your attention. Bye bye. See you next time.
Salam sejahtera saya ucapkan kepada penonton-penonton semua, khasnya kepada anak-anak murid sekalian. Baik, sebelum saya memulakan bahagian saya nak perkenalkan, nama saya Robin Wong Long, yang bertugas sekarang di SMK Agama Sibu, dan saya akan membentangkan ataupun memberi ceramah di bahagian C, kertas 2, Sains, kod kertas 1511. Objektif kita untuk memahami soalan 12 atau soalan 13, kertas 2, bahagian C. Baik, kita teruskan. Baiklah, sebelum ini kita sudah sedia maklum, cikgu anggap anak-anak murid sekalian sudah sedia maklum dengan bahagian-bahagian yang ada dalam kertas 2, iaitu bahagian A, bahagian B dan bahagian C. Dan untuk slide kali ini, cikgu akan fokus kepada bahagian C, nombor 12 atau 13. Nombor 11 telah dibentangkan oleh Cikgu Liping dan juga Cikgu Angeline. Cikgu Liping dengan Cikgu Angeline telah memberi maklumat yang cukup bagus, yang cukup untuk anak-anak murid sekalian, bahagian kemahiran eksperimen. Dan sekarang kita tengok pula soalan 12 atau soalan 13. Dan tidak banyak yang boleh cikgu beri untuk bahagian soalan ini, untuk dua soalan ini, sebab kita sebenarnya tidak ada maklumat terkini tentang apakah jenis soalan yang akan keluar untuk soalan nombor 12 dan 13. Sebab sebelum ini dalam KBSM, soalan 12 dan 13 ini sebenarnya dalam KBSM mereka merupakan soalan yang ke-11 atau 12. Soalan 11 atau 12. Di mana sebelum ini, soalan-soalan 11 atau 12 KBSM mereka menguji tentang mengkonsepsi, menyelesaikan masalah dan membuat pilihan ataupun membuat keputusan. Tetapi untuk KSSM, kita tahu soalan nombor 12 atau 13 ini dia sebenarnya menguji 4 konstruk. Yang cikgu senaraikan di sini ada 4 konstruk di situ. Ya. 2 markah untuk mengingat, 2 markah untuk memahami, 4 markah untuk menganalisis, dan 4 markah lagi untuk menilai. Ya. So, 4 konstruk ini akan diuji untuk soalan nombor 12 ataupun 13. Ya. Kita tahulah di bahagian C nombor 12 atau 13 ini kita boleh memilih satu soalan. Ya. Kita wajib memilih satu soalan untuk kita jawab. Ya. Kalau anak-anak murid nak jawab kedua-duanya pun boleh, tak ada masalah. Ya. Asalkan ya, semasa SPM masih ada masa yang lebih. Ya. Maka anak-anak murid calon-calon SPM bolehlah menjawab kedua-dua soalan tersebut. Ya. Baik, tanpa melengahkan masa, kita teruskan dengan contoh-contoh soalan. Ya. Cikgu akan memilih beberapa contoh soalan untuk kita bincangkan bersama atau kita lihat bersama. Ya. Soalan ini bukan dari cikgu, ya, bukan cikgu yang buat soalan ini. Soalan ini cikgu ambil, ya, cikgu ambil dari kumpulan Telegram, ya, kumpulan Sains Telegram, ya, oleh cikgu-cikgu lain. Ya, soalan yang telah di-share oleh cikgu-cikgu lain. Ya. Maka cikgu ambil soalan dari mereka. Kita bincangkan bersama di sini. Ya. Baiklah, kita lihat contoh yang pertama. Baik, ini contoh pertama, soalan 12 atau 13. Raja menunjukkan 2 simbol bagi sesuatu produk, ya, P dan Q. Ya, P dan Q. Kita lihat diberi 2 gambar. Ya, gambar P macam tapak kaki dan gambar Q macam tapak tangan. Ya. Terangkan simbol P dan simbol Q. Ya. Sebelum kita bincangkan, cikgu nak tekankan di sini, cikgu kebanyakannya akan menggunakan bahasa Melayu. Ya. Ya. Sebab di sekolah cikgu biasa menggunakan bahasa Melayu untuk mengajar sains. Ya. Cikgu tahu di sekolah lain ramai yang menggunakan bahasa Inggeris. Ya. Tapi jangan risau. Cikgu sertakan juga soalan dalam bahasa Inggeris di sini. Ya. Ya. Untuk contoh satu ini, the first example of questions 12 or 13, we can see here, diagram shows 2 symbols of the product. So as we can see, we got 2 diagram. Yeah. And the question is, explain the symbol P and symbol Q. Yeah. You need to explain the symbol P and symbol Q. Baik, kita kena terangkanlah apakah itu simbol P dan simbol Q. Ya. So, kita ada 2 gambar, kita kena terangkan. Dan untuk soalan yang pertama ini, dia menguji konstruk yang pertama, iaitu mengingat. 2 markah untuk mengingat. Ya. Maksudnya di sini, kalau kita tidak mengulang kaji, kita tidak membaca buku sains, ya, tak kiralah buku teks ke, buku rujukan ke, kalau kita tak membaca buku, maka kita tak boleh menjawab. Ya. Sebab soalan ini dia memerlukan kita untuk mengingat apa yang kita baca. Ya. Baiklah. Baik. Soalan ini memerlukan kita menerangkan. Ya, menerangkan. Jadi maksudnya di sini, penerangan untuk simbol P akan membawa 1 markah. Dan penerangan untuk simbol Q pula akan membawa 1 lagi markah. Ya. The first explanation of symbol P will give you 1 mark. And the other 1 mark is given to the explanation of symbol Q. Yeah. So let's see. Now, this is the explanation of symbol P. Yeah. Ini adalah penerangan untuk gambar simbol P. Ya, anak murid boleh menggunakan nama dia, ya, jejak karbon, ya, jejak karbon, carbon footprint for the first symbol P. The name is carbon footprint. Ya. Kalau anak murid tidak menggunakan nama dan terus menggunakan simbol P, boleh juga ya, tak ada masalah sebab satu markah ini diberi kepada penerangan dia, ya, penerangan dia. Inilah penerangan. Untuk bahasa Melayu ini penerangan dia. Apakah itu simbol P? Simbol P ataupun simbol jejak karbon merujuk kepada kesan negatif alam sekitar yang disebabkan oleh pelepasan gas rumah hijau bagi sesuatu produk sepanjang getaran hayatnya. Alright. So the first explanation of symbol P is refers to the negative environmental impacts or effects caused by greenhouse gas emissions throughout the life cycle of a product. Yes. So 1 mark will be given to this explanation. Baiklah, kita teruskan dengan penerangan yang kedua, iaitu penerangan kepada simbol Q ya. Alright. Untuk simbol Q, kita namakan dia sebagai simbol tapak tangan karbon. Simbol tapak tangan karbon. Ya. The name given for the second diagram, the symbol Q, is carbon handprint. Penerangan dia ataupun jawapan dia, simbol Q merujuk kepada kesan positif, ya. Tadi kesan negatif, yang ini pula kesan positif terhadap alam sekitar bagi sesuatu produk sepanjang getaran hayatnya. Ya. So the answer is refers to the positive environment impacts or effects of a product throughout the life cycle of a product. Alright. So this is the answer for the explanation of carbon handprint. 1 mark will be given. 1 markah untuk jawapan ini. So jumlahnya 2 markah ya. Kemudian kita teruskan dengan yang kedua, soalan contoh satu ini, soalan yang kedua dia, iaitu soalan B. Terangkan 2 langkah simbol Q bagi mengurangkan pembebasan gas rumah hijau melalui penggunaan bahan dan tenaga. Bahan dan tenaga. Ya. The English. Explain 2 steps of symbol Q to reduce greenhouse gas emissions through the use of materials and energy. Untuk soalan yang kedua ini, dia menguji konstruk mengingat ya, mengingat juga. Baik, kita teruskan. Untuk langkah yang pertama, iaitu dari segi penggunaan bahan dia. Penggunaan bahan, dia minta kita menerangkan 2 langkah. Ya, 2 langkah. Baik, itu dia. Gunakan bahan yang boleh baharu. Ya. Use renewable materials. Yang kedua, meningkatkan kecekapan penggunaan bahan. Ya. Increasing the material use efficiency. Okay. Untuk penggunaan tenaga pula, gunakan tenaga yang boleh baharu. Use of energy, we use renewable energy. Elakkan sumber tenaga daripada ada typing error di sini ya, daripada bahan api fosil ya. Elakkan sumber tenaga, kalau boleh elakkan sumber tenaga yang dihasilkan daripada bahan api fosil ya. Avoid the source of energy from fossil fuels. Baik, kemudian untuk soalan yang ketiga pula. Untuk soalan yang ketiga, bagi contoh satu ya. Jabatan Meteorologi telah mendapati peningkatan suhu bumi yang mendadak dalam tempoh 10 tahun kebelakangan ini. Pemanasan global ini disebabkan oleh pembebasan gas rumah hijau, terutamanya gas karbon dioksida. In English, Meteorology Department has found drastic increase in the Earth's temperature in the past 10 years. This global warming is caused by the release of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide gas. Kemudian, soalan dia, terangkan cara-cara untuk mengatasi masalah ini. Penerangan anda hendaklah berdasarkan aspek-aspek berikut. Explain ways to reduce this problem. Your explanation should be based on the following aspects. Okay, kita ada 3 aspek di sini. Kita ada 3 aspek. Aspek yang pertama, kenal pasti masalah yang membawa 1 markah. Aspek yang kedua, terangkan punca masalah tersebut yang membawa 1 lagi markah. Dan aspek yang ketiga, terangkan 2 kaedah untuk menyelesaikan masalah tersebut. So, untuk aspek yang ketiga ini, dia membawa 4 markah. 4 markah. So, bagaimanakah pembahagian 4 markah ini? Dia minta anak-anak murid menerangkan 2 kaedah. Jadi, ini bermaksud penerangan 1 kaedah itu, termasuklah apakah kaedah yang digunakan, akan membawa 2 markah untuk 1 kaedah. Alright. So, the question required us to explain based on the 3 aspects below. The first aspect is identify the problem that will be given 1 mark. And then explain the cause of the problem, also 1 mark. And the third aspect, explain 2 methods to solve the problem. So, it means that we see these aspects will be given 4 marks. It means that the 1 method will be given 2 marks. Then, 1 method will be given 2 marks. It means that the 1 method, the explanation will be given 1 mark, and its method, the type of method will be used, will be given another 1 mark. Alright. So, untuk soalan ini, dia menguji dari segi konstruk mengaplikasi. Mengaplikasi. Sebab dia memerlukan kita untuk menyelesaikan masalah. Sebab itulah konstruk ini adalah konstruk mengaplikasi. Baik. Untuk aspek yang pertama, kenal pasti masalah. The first aspect is us to identify the problem. So, inilah dia. Kenal pasti masalah. Peningkatan suhu bumi yang mendadak dalam tempoh 10 tahun kebelakangan ini. Alright, the first aspect, identify the problem. Increase in the Earth's temperature in the past 10 years. Dan, anak murid sekalian, apabila kita melihat jawapan ini, when we look at the answers, we know that kita telah tahu bahawa jawapan ini sebenarnya kita boleh dapat dari soalan itu sendiri. Dalam soalan ada menyatakan bahawa peningkatan suhu bumi yang mendadak dalam tempoh 10 tahun kebelakangan ini. Di sini peningkatan suhu bumi yang mendadak dalam tempoh 10 tahun kebelakangan ini. So we can see, we can find the answer in the questions itself, right? So increase in the Earth's temperature in the past 10 years. So here we can find the answer, from the question itself. Alright. Baik, kita teruskan. Untuk aspek yang kedua, the second aspect. Terangkan punca masalah tersebut. Explain the cause of the problem. Alright. We need to explain what caused the problem. Apakah yang menyebabkan masalah yang kita nyatakan tadi. So, pemanasan global disebabkan oleh pembebasan gas rumah hijau, terutamanya gas karbon dioksida. So, global warming is caused is caused by the release of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide. So again, we can find the answer from the question itself. Yeah. Here. This global warming is caused by the release of greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide gas. Ya, kita boleh mendapat jawapan dari soalan itu sendiri. Baik, kita teruskan dengan aspek yang ketiga. Terangkan dua kaedah untuk menyelesaikan masalah tersebut. Kita kena menyelesaikan masalah ini. Baik, explain two methods to solve the problem. Alright. Alright, so just now I already said one method will be given 2 marks. Satu kaedah akan diberi 2 markah. So bagaimanakah pembahagian 2 markah? 1 markah diberi kepada kaedah dia. Apakah kaedah yang digunakan? Apakah nama kaedah itu? What is the method that you will be using? So kaedah yang kita gunakan di sini, jawapan pertama, mengurangkan penggunaan bahan api fosil. The first method, reduce the use of fossil fuels. Kemudian, maka yang kedua akan diberi kepada penerangan terhadap kaedah yang kita gunakan. Penerangan dia. Pengurangan pembakaran bahan api fosil akan mengurangkan pembebasan gas karbon dioksida. Menerangkan kepada kaedah yang kita gunakan. Mengurangkan penggunaan bahan api fosil. Jadi penerangan dia boleh mengurangkan pembebasan gas karbon dioksida. So, the second mark will be given to the explanation to the method that we have chose. Right? The explanation is reduce the burning of fossil fuels can reduce the release of carbon dioxide gas. So that is the explanation to the method that we use. Baik, kaedah yang kedua. Kaedah kedua, sebab dia memerlukan kita menjawab 2 kaedah. Menggunakan 2 kaedah. So, kaedah yang kedua, menanam lebih banyak pokok. The second method that we use, plant more trees. Now, the explanation, penerangan dia, pokok akan menyerap gas karbon dioksida untuk menjalankan fotosintesis. The explanation, tree will absorb carbon dioxide to carry out photosynthesis. Right? That is the explanation to the method that we use. Baik, cikgu akan bagi lebih lagi. Lebih lagi kaedah. Gunakan sumber tenaga alternatif. The third method we can use alternative sources of energy. Penerangan dia, sumber tenaga alternatif seperti tenaga hidro, tenaga angin dan suria mengurangkan pelepasan gas karbon dioksida ke atmosfera. Itu adalah penerangan kepada kaedah yang kita gunakan, iaitu sumber tenaga alternatif. Alright, and the explanation of the method is alternative sources of energy such as hydro, wind and solar can reduce the release of carbon dioxide to atmosphere. Right? Baik, kaedah yang keempat, cikgu beri lagi satu kaedah, iaitu tiada pembakaran terbuka. Kita halang pembakaran terbuka. And the fourth method, no open burnings. Alright. Penerangan dia, tiada gas karbon dioksida akan dibebaskan. The explanation is no carbon dioxide is released. So, daripada 4 kaedah ini, kita pilihlah 2 kaedah untuk menjawab soalannya. Pilih mana-mana 2 pun boleh. 2 kaedah berserta dengan penerangan dia. Maka jumlah markah adalah 4 markah. Baik, kita teruskan dengan contoh yang kedua. Contoh yang kedua, soalan 12 atau 13. Terdapat 2 jenis lemak, iaitu lemak tepu dan lemak tak tepu. There are 2 types of fats, namely saturated fats and unsaturated fats. Now the first question, what is meant by unsaturated fats? Apakah yang dimaksudkan dengan lemak tak tepu? So, soalan ini menguji kita dari segi konstruk mengingat ya, 2 markah. So jawapannya, lemak tak tepu ialah lemak yang mengandungi satu atau lebih ikatan berganda dalam rantai lemak. So the answer is fats that contain one or more double bond in the fatty acid chain. So jawapan ini kita boleh dapat dari buku boleh dapat dari buku. Oleh sebab dia akan memberi 2 markah kepada soalan ini, maka kita perlu menjawab dua penerangan kepada lemak tak tepu. Dan satu lagi, keadaan cecair pada suhu bilik. Okay, it is liquid at room temperature. Because this question will be given 2 marks, so we need 2 explanation to the unsaturated fats. Explanation to the unsaturated fats. What is unsaturated fats? Okay, soalan seterusnya. Raja di bawah menunjukkan 3 contoh lemak tepu. The diagram below shows 3 examples of saturated fats. Saturated fats. Lemak tepu saturated fats. We can see the diagram. Kita lihat pada gambar raja ini. Lemak tepu. Kemudian ada anak panah, daging kambing. Yang kedua, kek. Dan yang ketiga, keju. So we see saturated fats. We have arrow here, point to the lamb. The second arrow point to the cake. And the third point to the cheese. So we can see lamb, cake and cheese. So, kaji maklumat pada raja di atas dan bina konsep lemak tepu. Study the information in the diagram above and construct the concept of saturated fats. This question will be given 6 marks. Soalan ini diberi 6 markah. Baik, dia menguji kita dari segi konstruk menganalisis. Kita kena menganalisis gambar raja yang diberikan Baik, sebelum kita menjawab soalan B tadi, kita kena ingat Cikgu harap anak-anak murid boleh ingat untuk menjawab soalan membina konsep kadang-kala soalan tidak akan memberikan petunjuk ataupun memberikan satu guideline Jadi kita kena hafal. Kena hafal apakah aspek-aspek yang perlu ada untuk menjawab soalan membina konsep. So, alright, before we proceed, students need to know that you must remember what are those aspects that must be included for answering this question. For answering this question, you need 4 aspects. At least 4 aspects here. You need to know, you need to remember, to memorize. Kita kena ingat Baiklah, aspek yang pertama, kenal pasti maklumat daripada raja yang diberi. The first aspect, identify the information from the given diagram. Alright. Yang kedua, kenal pasti 2 ciri sepunya. The second aspect you need to include is to identify 2 common characteristics. 2 ciri sepunya, 2 common characteristics. The third aspect, give 1 other example and 1 non-example. Aspek yang ketiga, berikan 1 contoh dan 1 bukan contoh. Sekurang-kurangnya 1 lah. And aspek yang keempat, hubung kaitkan ciri sepunya untuk membina konsep. Yang keempat ini, the fourth aspects that you must include in your answer is to relate the common characteristics to build a concept. Alright, so kita lihat contoh jawapan Alright. The first aspect yang pertama, kena pasti maklumat daripada raja yang diberi. Identify information from the given diagram. Yeah. So, jawapan dia daging kambing. Sini daging kambing, kek dan keju adalah contoh lemak tepu. Sebab di sini dituliskan lemak tepu dan ditunjukkan panah kepada daging kambing, kek dan keju. So kita boleh katakan tiga benda ini, tiga bahan ini merupakan contoh ataupun makanannya, tiga makanan ini adalah contoh lemak tepu. So as we see the diagram, we can say that the lamb, cake and cheese are examples of saturated fats because in the diagram the saturated fats pointed to lamb, cake and cheese, as we can see here. Alright, so itu adalah aspek yang pertama, the first aspect. Kena pasti maklumat. Baik, kita teruskan dengan aspek yang kedua. The second aspect, kenal pasti dua ciri sepunya. Identify two common characteristics. So cikgu berikan ciri sepunya, ada 4 di sini. Ada 4. So I have give four common characteristic here. So you can choose either two. Kita boleh pilih. Dua daripada ciri sepunya yang disenaraikan di sini. So berasal daripada haiwan, berbejal pada suhu bilik, mempunyai takar lebur yang tinggi, bilangan atom hidrogen di dalam molekulnya adalah maksimum. Alright. So, 4 common characteristics derived from animal, solid at room temperature, has high melting point, number of hydrogen atoms in the molecules is maximum. So, we can choose either two. Kita pilihlah mana-mana dua sebagai jawapan. So, teruskan. The third aspect, berikan satu contoh dan satu bukan contoh. Give one, ada example, and one non-example. So, contoh lain ada example, kita ada mentega, susu, ice cream. Pilih satu saja. Pilih mana-mana satu. We can choose one from other example, butter, milk and ice cream. So you just choose one. Bukan contoh pula, non-example, minyak bijian, minyak bunga matahari, sesame oil and sunflower oil. So you choose either one. The fourth aspect yang keempat, hubung kaitkan ciri sepunya untuk membina konsep. Relate the common characteristic to build a concept. Alright. So konsep sebenar dia lemak tepu ialah lemak yang berasal daripada haiwan dan keadaan berbejal pada suhu bilik. Saturated fat is a fat that is derived from animal and is solid at room temperature. Baik, untuk yang ini cikgu kena beritahu Cikgu kena beritahu. Jawapan anak murid kenalah mengikut apakah ciri sepunya yang telah anak murid tulis di atas di atas tadi Apakah ciri sepunya yang telah anak murid tulis pada soalan yang di atas tadi ataupun aspek yang kedua tadi aspek yang kedua. So katakan kita pilih yang ini berasal dari haiwan dan keadaan perbejal pada suhu bilik. Katakan kita pilih dua ini, maka dalam jawapan anak murid mestilah letak dua jawapan ini sebagai konsep konsep lemak tepu. Sebab dia tanya apakah konsep bagi lemak tepu. So lemak tepu ialah lemak yang berasal daripada haiwan dan keadaan perbejal pada suhu bilik. Dua ciri sepunya yang anak murid pilih. Remember students, we need to choose what characteristic that you have given. You have given in the second aspect just now. Alright, you must use the characteristic that you have given. You cannot give another characteristic. If you give another characteristic, different from the characteristic that you have given above, then your answer will be wrong or will be not given mark. Ingat ya anak murid, kita mesti memilih jawapan kita sendiri. Jangan beri ciri-ciri sepunya yang lain. Kalau beri ciri sepunya yang lain, maka tak adalah markah untuk soalan ini. Untuk aspek ini tak ada markah. Baik, kita teruskan. Untuk soalan yang ketiga, raja di bawah menunjukkan, salah typing error lagi menunjukkan 3 contoh makanan yang diambil oleh satu keluarga setiap hari. The diagram below shows 3 examples of food that are eaten by the family every day. So, as we can see here, we have 3 diagram also. Kita ada 3 gambar Kita ada gambar daging, ada burger, ada sausage. Okay. Pada pendapat anda, adakah makanan itu sesuai diambil oleh keluarga tersebut setiap hari? Wajarkan jawapan anda. Wajarkan jawapan anda. In your opinion, are the foods suitable to be eaten by the family every day? Justify your answer. Ini menguji dari segi konstruk menilai 4 markah. Jadi, kita lihat jawapan. 4 markah tadi 1 markah untuk kita memilih setuju atau tidak, dan 3 markah lagi untuk wajaran kita untuk wajaran kita. Baik, kita lihat ya ataupun setuju itu 1 markah. Kenapa? Kenapa kita kata setuju? Sebab dia sedap, membekalkan kalori atau tenaga yang cukup tinggi, membekalkan protein untuk pertumbuhan sel Untuk soalan ini, sebab dia minta pendapat kita kan. So kita sebenarnya boleh bagi jawapan ya ataupun setuju, ataupun kita boleh kata tidak setuju Kita boleh kata tidak setuju So students, you can choose either you agree or disagree with the statement or with the diagram. Alright, you can choose either one because this question is asking our opinion. So you can choose either disagree or agree. Alright, so if you choose to agree, then you need to give three justification why you agree with the statement. So here we can see because it's delicious, it provides high calories, and it provides proteins for growth of cells. Alright, so we have 4 marks here. 1 mark for yes or agree, and another 3 marks is for the justification that you have given. Baik, bagaimana pula kalau kita pilih tidak setuju? Ini dia Inilah wajaran kita untuk memilih tidak bersetuju. So lebih banyak jawapannya kalau kita pilih tidak bersetuju Mengandungi kandungan kolesterol yang tinggi, kesemua makanan mengandungi lemak tepu, boleh menyebabkan stroke ataupun arteriosclerosis. Ejaan salah Ini BM, dia K sepatutnya. Ada K sini K bukan C K. Boleh menyebabkan obesity, sama juga ini sebab dia automatic pembetulan dia akan tukar kan. Microsoft Word ini biasanya dia tukar Boleh menyebabkan serangan jantung. Baiklah, ini antara wajaran yang kita boleh bagi kalau kita tidak setuju. So, those are the justification that is given if we choose not agree or disagree with the statement. Contains high cholesterol, or foods contain saturated fats, can cause stroke or arteriosclerosis, can cause obesity, can cause heart attack. Baiklah, kita teruskan dengan contoh yang terakhir, iaitu contoh yang ketiga. Cikgu akan lebih cepat lagi sebab masa tidak mencemburui kita sebenarnya. Masa dia cukup bagi cikgu. So kita sepintas lalu saja Baiklah, Raja 20 menunjukkan sejenis kenderaan berteknologi tinggi. So diagram 20 shows the type of high technology vehicles. Nyatakan 2 jenis kenderaan pelancar yang anda tahu. Ini bab yang ke-9 Form 5. Chapter 9, Form 5. Name 2 launch vehicles that you know. A. Kenderaan pelancar yang digunakan sekali saja, ELV, Expandable Launch Vehicle, ELV. Kenderaan pelancar guna semula RLV. Reusable Launch Vehicles RLV. B. Senaraikan dua kelebihan kenderaan pelancar dalam Raja 20. Ya. List two advantages of the launch vehicles in diagram 20. Boleh membawa kapal angkasa, can carry spacecraft. Boleh membawa manusia, alatan kelengkapan ke angkasa lepas, can carry human devices, equipment to space. Boleh bergerak menerusi ruang vacuum, can travel through vacuum. Boleh diguna semula, reusable. Ya, pilih mana-mana dua. You can choose either two of the advantages here. Ya, sebab dia memberi dua markah. Pada pendapat anda, bolehkah pesawat komersial digunakan sebagai kenderaan pelancar seperti dalam Raja? Nyatakan alasan anda. In your opinion, can commercial aircraft be used as the launch vehicle such as shown in the diagram? State your reasons. State your reasons. Yang ini adalah pengujian dari segi konstruk aplikasi. So, mengikut pendapat anda, bolehkah dia digunakan sebagai pelancar, kenderaan pelancar? Kalau ya, nyatakan alasan. Kalau tidak pun, boleh nyatakan alasan. Untuk soalan ini, cikgu cadangkan kita kata tidak boleh. Tidak boleh. Sebab memang itu jawapan dia. Tidak boleh. Kalau boleh, kita sebenarnya tak ada alasan. Tak ada alasan. Dia memang tidak boleh. Walaupun dia minta soalan ini, minta pendapat kita, tapi jawapannya hanya ada satu, iaitu tidak boleh. Even though the question is asking our opinions, but we cannot say can. We cannot give the answer can, because in reality, this aircraft, the commercial aircraft, cannot be used, really cannot be used as a launch vehicles. So we only have one answer for this question, that is cannot. Baiklah, bila kita pilih tidak boleh, apakah penerangan kita? Baik, the reason why we choose cannot, alasan dia, hanya boleh mencapai ketinggian 35,000 km di atas paras laut bumi, because it can only reaches 35,000 km above the earth, above the sea levels on earth, above the sea level on earth. That's why pesawat komersial tidak boleh digunakan sebagai kenderaan pelancar, sebab dia hanya boleh mencapai ketinggian yang terhad. Yang terhad. Dia tak boleh keluar dari angkasa, keluar dari ruangan atmosfera bumi. Daya pecutan graviti menjadi semakin besar. Gravitational force becomes bigger. The second reason. Tidak mempunyai kandungan oksigen yang mencukupi. Not enough oxygen for combustion. Perubahan tekanan udara yang boleh mengganggu pengoperasian enjin. Changes in air pressure will interrupt the operation of the engines. So ini adalah empat alasan. Empat alasan. 4 reasons why the commercial aircraft cannot be used as launch vehicles. Okay, next question. Soalan seterusnya, anda akan berangkat ke angkasa lepas untuk mengumpul maklumat mengenai sebuah planet. Anda diberi dua peranti, iaitu robot dan kamera untuk membantu tugasan anda. Alright, you will depart to space to collect information about the planet. You are given two devices, which are a robot and a camera, in order to assist your task. Pilih peranti yang sesuai dan jelaskan 3 kelebihan peranti tersebut. Choose the suitable device and explain the advantage of the device. So kita pilihlah apa yang sesuai. Untuk jawapan ini pun sebenarnya dia tetap, iaitu robot. Robot dia lebih realistik daripada kamera. So kita pilih robot. The answer is robot. So we choose robot. Why? Because the robot is self-moving. Robot tersebut dia boleh bergerak dengan sendiri, boleh merekod data dan mengambil gambar, can record data and photo, boleh diprogram dalam apa jua keadaan, can be programmed in any situation, dan pelbagai fungsi. The robot is multifunction. Baiklah, kita sudah sampai ke penghujung, penghujung bahagian cikgu ini, So, baiklah. Sebelum kita berpisah, cikgu nak beritahu jawapan anak murid kenalah buat dalam bentuk esei, dalam bentuk esei, dengan mengandungi semua poin yang ada di sini, kalau boleh lah. Bolehkah kita buat jadual? Ya, boleh juga, boleh juga buat jadual, Yang penting kita ada empat ataupun poin-poin yang diperlukan, Baik, itu saja untuk kali ini. Terima kasih kerana sudi menonton, menonton video cikgu ini. Dan sehingga kita jumpa lagi. Semoga sihat semua dan terima kasih.